Why did no one ever look twice at her? Under the flicker of fluorescent lights, she was just another quiet worker in a weapons depot. A woman in a gray civilian uniform, hair tied back, eyes lowered, hands moving in steady rhythm as she counted magazines. No one asked her where she came from. No one wondered why her posture was too perfect, why her movements carried no waste, why her gaze sometimes cut through a man like she was measuring windage and distance. Her name, at least here, was Morgan, Alex to those who worked alongside her. They said she was efficient, they said she was punctual, they said she never talked much. They didn't say what she used to be. Because officially, Morgan didn't exist. The colonel's boots echoed against the concrete floor that morning, hard and deliberate, breaking the monotonous hum of the armory. He was older, weathered with silver hair cropped tight, a face carved by sun and combat. His name was William, Desert Storm veteran, a man who carried silence the way others carried medals. He asked for her clipboard. She handed it over, calm, professional. But when he scanned the paper, his eyes froze. There it was, faded but still legible, an ink stamp worn by time, barely visible against the corner of the page. 2 words. Cold flame. The colonel's heart skipped, his jaw clenched. For a moment he looked up at her and saw past the uniform, he saw the truth she'd been burying. Cold flame. The name whispered in barracks years ago. The sniper who had done the impossible, shot across the Afghan mountains. The ghost who had vanished during a mission gone wrong on the border of Pakistan. The woman officially listed as killed in action, body never recovered. She looked back at him, not defiant, not submissive, just steady. And for a fraction of a second her eyes betrayed it, the hunter's gaze, predatory, calculating, alive. Is there a problem with the inventory, Colonel? Her voice was even, a shield. His hand lingered on the clipboard longer than necessary. Then he gave it back. No problem at all, Ms. Morgan. Everything appears to be in perfect order. But it was. Nothing about this was in order. He turned and walked away, his mind in a storm. If she was who he thought she was, then the entire weight of the last 2 years, reports, redactions, lies, was a carefully constructed fiction. Someone had buried cold flame, not just in paper but in memory. And yet here she was, counting magazines in Fort Benning's depot. She resumed her work, expression unchanged, but inside her pulse had shifted. He knew. He recognized her. And once recognition slipped through one crack, the whole risked collapsing. The fluorescent lights hummed above, indifferent. The air smelled of gun oil and dust. Rows of weapons stood in their racks, silent witnesses to a revelation that neither of them could afford to speak aloud. But truth is heavier than steel. And sometimes silence is more dangerous than gunfire. She remembered another silence 5 years earlier, Afghanistan. The mountains were brutal in their quiet, stone ridges cutting into a pale sky, the air sharp with pre-dawn chill. She'd lain motionless for 3 days, her body pressed against rock, suit merging with scrub and shadow. Her lips cracked from thirst. Her muscles screamed from stillness. Her scope never wavered. Below, a compound stirred with the kind of life she had trained to erase. Men moving, radios crackling, a target moving through it all like a thread tying violence together. Al, a name that had burned across intelligence reports for years. They said he was untouchable. But they hadn't met cold flame. She calculated everything: wind speed, barometric pressure, elevation, humidity. Every variable in the world existed between her and that man. 1,000 meters, 1,500, an impossible distance for anyone else. For her, it was a question she already knew the answer to. Cold flame, this is watchdog. Target confirmed, green light. Her breath slowed. The world narrowed to a single heartbeat, the squeeze of her finger, the echo that followed. The shot reached across mountains. A man dropped mid-stride. Chaos exploded below. but she was already dismantling her rifle, already moving. The job was done. Back at base, the debriefing had been strange, too many questions, too much focus on how she'd done it. She hadn't thought about it at the time. Not really. But later, looking back, she realized it was the first shadow of something deeper. A warning she had missed. 2 years later, Pakistan. The night smelled of dust and smoke. Her team was moving on Thieves Road, tracking a courier with a black case strapped to his body. Overwatch was her place, rifle steady, night vision cutting green across the dark. Beside her, Major James whispered wind shifts, his voice the anchor she'd known since her earliest days as a sniper. He was more than a mentor. He was family. And then it all unraveled. RPGs tore the night apart. Muzzle flashes lit up ridges they hadn't even scouted. Mortars bracketed their position with terrifying accuracy. It wasn't chance. It wasn't bad intel. Someone had betrayed them. She saw the courier, calm amidst the storm, handing that black case to a man in unmarked tactical gear. Not panic. A handoff. Planned. Controlled. She snapped photographs through her scope, burned the images into her tactical camera even as she laid down covering fire. Her team fell around her. Walker, their captain, shouting for retreat. 2 already gone, coordinating comms, but comms were jammed. She remembered the flash, the helicopter spinning, metal screaming, her body breaking. And then nothing. Later, a hospital bed. Lights too white, machines too loud, 2 men in suits, not military, not family. Officially, you died in that crash, one of them said. You'll remain dead until we find who betrayed your team, the other added. Was gone, they told her. Walker had confirmed her death. Her photographs had vanished from records. And so Morgan began again, her call sign erased, her medals shelved in some forgotten Pentagon box, her rifle locked in a vault she would never touch again. She worked the depot. She lived invisible. She breathed silence. But she had kept one thing. Her call sign. Cold flame stamped faintly on a clipboard. Her quiet rebellion. Her whispered reminder that she was still alive. Now Colonel knew. And the silence between them meant something was already shifting. Because recognition was dangerous. Because truth was lethal. And because secrets once uncovered rarely go back to sleep. She cleaned her hands on a rag, finished counting the row of M14 magazines and stacked them neatly. Her posture was perfect, her breathing steady, but inside the calculations had already begun. How much did know? How far would he push? And if he pushed too far, what would she do? The depot echoed with routine. Soldiers came and went, clipboards shuffled, the world looked unchanged. But it was. Because one man had seen her eyes. Because one man had remembered what they meant. Because the past was no longer buried. And in the distance, beyond the depot, beyond Fort Benning, shadows stirred. Old ghosts waiting, old debts unpaid. The hunter had been hidden. Now the hunter was seen. And once a target is seen, sooner or later the shot follows. Why did he summon her? The message waited for her the next morning, typed neat on plain paper. Report to Colonel's office, 900 hours. No explanation, no context. Her stomach tightened. He'd seen the code name. That alone was enough to unravel everything she'd spent 2 years burying. Still, she went about her morning inventory routine with mechanical calm. Magazines stacked, serial numbers logged. Pens clicked against the clipboard in the same deliberate rhythm as always. Outwardly, she was the same Alex Morgan who kept her head down and her life invisible. Inwardly, calculations spun like gears. If this meeting was exposure, she needed options. 3 go bags hidden across the state. Cash. False identification. Vehicles she could abandon without regret. Always an exit. Always 3. At precisely 900, she knocked on his door. Enter. The office was stark. maps pinned across one wall, medals displayed in a neat row, blinds drawn against the Georgia morning, stood behind his desk. He gestured to the chair opposite him. "Miss Morgan." His voice was steady, but his hand pressed a button on a small device. A low hum filled the air. She recognized it instantly. A signal jammer. No recordings. No ears outside the room. Her pulse slowed. If this was a trap, it was already sprung. "I had an interesting meeting with General Harrison this morning," began. He studied her as he spoke, eyes sharp, weighing every flicker of her expression. "She's authorized a new advanced marksmanship program, specialized instruction for elite operators, and she asked me to recommend an instructor." Alex stayed silent. "I believe I found the perfect candidate," he said. His meaning hung heavy between them. She leaned back, folding her hands on her lap. "I'm a depot worker, Colonel. My experience is in inventory management." His face didn't shift. "Is it? Because your clipboard suggests otherwise." He opened a folder and slid a photograph across the desk. Her younger self stared back, combat gear, face partly obscured by one blue eye locked through a sniper scope. Classified. Shouldn't exist outside secure facilities. Her jaw tightened. "Where did you get this?" "I served in Iraq," replied, ignoring her question. "1st Battalion, 7th Marines. We had a saying, you can change your name but not your eyes. A warrior's eyes don't lie, Miss Morgan. Or should I say Staff Sergeant Morgan?" The air between them shifted, pretense stripped away. "What do you want, Colonel?" "Not what you think," said evenly. "I'm not here to expose you. I'm offering you a chance to use your skills again, to teach before that knowledge is lost." He tapped the folder. 12 operators, the best of the best. Delta, SEAL Team 6, Rangers. They're deploying into regions where your expertise could mean the difference between coming home or not. Alex's silence stretched. Teaching meant visibility, scrutiny. It meant stepping into light after 2 years of shadows. "Why risk my cover for this?" "Because counting magazines is killing you inside," said bluntly. "Because you're a warrior, wasted on paperwork, and because I think you want answers about what happened on your last mission." Her chest tightened. She hadn't spoken of that mission since the hospital, since the suits told her was gone, since they told her she was dead. "What do you know about it?" "Not enough," admitted. "But I'm investigating. Someone leaked your team's position. Good operators died, and the same someone made cold flame disappear from official records." He stood, moving to the window, his voice softened just slightly. "I lost men in Iraq, good men, because their training didn't match the reality they faced. These 12 deserve better, and you can give it to them. Meanwhile, I'll keep digging into who betrayed your team." The room felt too small. Wasn't just asking her to teach. He was asking her to trust, to risk, to step back into the orbit of a world that had already chewed her up and buried her. "There's something else," said. He flipped through his files, stopping at a line. "I found reference to photographs taken during your last mission, filed separately, restricted access." Her pulse spiked. "You found that?" "Only the reference," he said. "Not the images themselves. What did they show?" She hesitated. The memory still burned in her mind. The courier, the black case, the man in unmarked tactical gear vanishing into the night. "It wasn't an ambush," she said finally. "It was a handoff, planned, coordinated, and we interrupted it." His face darkened. "That explains why someone wanted your team silenced, and why they need cold flame to stay dead." Silence stretched. Outside, Fort Benning bustled with routine. Soldiers marched. Trucks moved across gravel. None of them knew what was shifting in this room. "If I refuse," she asked. "Then you keep counting magazines," said. "And I keep my investigation quiet. Your secret stays safe either way." It was a devil's bargain. But the mention of his death, his memory, tugged at something she'd buried too deep. "When would it start?" 2 weeks. She stood, decision unformed but the path already tilting. At the door added, "One more thing. I served with James in Desert Storm. He was a good man, one of the best. He deserves justice." Her hand froze on the doorknob. She didn't turn, but her voice was quiet, raw. "Yes," she said, "he does." That evening in her sparse apartment she cleaned her. The ritual steadied her. On the table, 2 photographs lay side by side. One of her team before that final mission. 6 operators among them, grinning like men who didn't yet know the shape of betrayal. The other was older, standing beside her the day she'd earned her sniper qualification. His pride had been fierce, fatherly, the kind of pride she had never known from anyone else. Her fingers traced his face. She remembered his voice in training. "Your skills weren't given to you to hide them. They were given to protect those who can't protect themselves." She lifted the phone and dialed his number. "I'm in," she said. "But one condition, full access to all files on my last mission." "I can't promise full access," admitted, "but I'll share what I find." "Then we have a deal." For the first time in 2 years, she felt something more than survival. She felt purpose. Cold Flame wasn't dead. She was waiting. The next morning, she reported to his office again. General Elizabeth Harrison was there, a woman in her late 50s with clipped gray hair and a steel posture. She didn't say Alex's call sign, not even here in a secure room. Operational security lived in silence. "Colonel speaks highly of your inventory skills," Harrison said, the faintest hint of irony in her voice. "Your students arrive in 13 days. She handed over a folder. Alex flipped through profiles. Rangers, SEALs, a Marine Corps sniper, 11 men, 1 woman. Their records spoke of deployments, scars, medals. They weren't recruits, they were killers. "Any questions?" Harrison asked. "What's the actual mission?" Alex said. 12 operators don't assemble randomly." "That information is compartmentalized," Harrison replied smoothly. "Your focus is their training. The mission will come later." Alex read between the lines. The mission wasn't random. The location wasn't random. And someone wanted her nowhere near the full picture. "One last note," Harrison added. "Admiral Stevens will be observing the program periodically. He has full access." Alex's spine chilled. Stevens had sat on the Special Operations Committee. He had signed off on missions, including hers. He was one of the men who had buried her in paperwork and lies. She kept her voice neutral. "Understood." When the meeting ended, she returned to her apartment. But the door was unlocked, a door she knew she had sealed that morning. Her came out smooth and silent. She cleared the rooms with the precision of muscle memory, empty, but not untouched. Her photograph sat in the center of the kitchen table, moved, deliberate, a message. In the corner of the frame she spotted it, a black dot, small, new, a listening device, high grade. She didn't touch it. Touching meant they know she'd found it. Instead, she packed her go-bag quietly, every motion efficient, rehearsed. Her phone buzzed. "Number." "We need to meet," he said. "Not on base. The diner off Highway 27, 30 minutes." "What did you find?" "Something in the Pakistan files. Something that shouldn't exist." "I'll be there." She scribbled a note, "groceries." Back by 9, leaving it in view of the listening device. A breadcrumb for the watchers, disinformation. Then she drove. The night air thick, headlights carving through pine shadows, every sense tuned sharp like before a shot. Someone had been inside her home. Someone knew exactly who she was, and had found something buried deep enough to drag them both off base into the dark. Cold Flame was alive, and someone wanted her erased again. Why was the diner almost empty? The roadside neon buzzed faint against the Georgia dark, casting the place in a tired red glow. A handful of truckers lingered in booths, their eyes fixed on coffee cups and pie plates. The smell of grease and stale cigarettes hung in the air. Alex parked in the far corner of the lot, habit dictating clear sight lines to all approaches. Old instincts never died. She checked her one in the chamber before stepping inside. Colonel was in the back booth, his back to the wall, eyes locked on the entrance like a man who'd survived ambushes before. A manila folder sat on the table between them, its corners frayed, its cover stamped with red classification marks that shouldn't have left a secure building. "You weren't followed." His voice was low, steady. "No," Alex slid into the booth. "But someone was in my apartment today. They moved a photograph, left a listening device." His eyes narrowed, high-end. "Military grade, professional install, a message." Nodded grimly. "Then we don't have much time." He pushed the folder toward her. "I found something. Different report from your last mission. Buried in a classified server behind layers that shouldn't exist." She flipped it open. A comms log, lines of transmissions time-stamped with military precision. Her pulse quickened as her eyes scanned the page. Then she saw it. 2:47 hours, Overwatch compromised, abort mission. Her throat tightened. She looked up at him. "That transmission never reached us." "Exactly," said. "Someone intercepted it, deliberately. You were walking into an ambush and they made sure you stayed blind." Her jaw clenched. Who had access to that channel? "Only 4 people," replied. "General Harrison, Admiral Stevens, CIA Deputy Director, and General Blackwood, JSOC Commander at the time." The names hung heavy between them, all high enough to bury bodies under paperwork, all powerful enough to erase cold flame from existence. She closed the folder, her hand trembling just slightly. "Someone wanted us dead. My team, me. And they made sure you stayed buried," said. The waitress drifted over, dropping 2 mugs of coffee without asking. Waited until she left before continuing. "There's more," he said. He flipped to the last page. "Those photographs you mentioned, the courier handoff, they were accessed once, just once, 12 hours after your team was ambushed." "By who?" "Admiral Stevens." The diner felt colder, the hum of neon sharper. Stevens, the man who now had full access to her training program, the man who'd buried her alive. "Why show me this now?" she asked. "Because tomorrow, you start training operators who could walk into the same trap," said, "and Stevens will be there to watch." Her chest burned with rage she'd buried too long. "You're using me as bait." "Maybe," admitted. "But if Stevens makes a move against you, we'll have our traitor." Her eyes cut into him. "And if he does?" "Then we keep digging." The unspoken truth sat between them. She was being dangled in front of a predator. The only question was whether she'd survive the hunt. When they left, his final words followed her like a shadow. "You're not the only hunter in these woods, Ms. Morgan." The training facility was isolated, tucked deep in pine forest, hidden behind fences and silence. A converted aircraft hangar served as headquarters. Ranges stretched for miles. Targets stood like ghosts waiting to be claimed. Alex arrived before dawn, walking the grounds with a soldier's eye. The equipment was state-of-the-art. Ballistic computers, environmental simulators, a collection of rifles that made even her pulse quicken. She was examining a multi-caliber when a voice broke the silence. "Impressive weapon, isn't it? Though I've always preferred the .338 for anything under a kilometer." Her blood chilled. Admiral Stevens. He stood in the doorway, dressed in civilian clothes, but his posture screamed military. His eyes were cold, calculating, the kind of eyes that stripped layers until nothing remained hidden. "Admiral," she straightened, "neutral, controlled. I wasn't expecting you until the afternoon briefing." "I like to arrive unannounced," he said smoothly. "Reveals more than scheduled inspections." He approached the rifle she held, running a finger along the barrel. "You seem familiar with this platform for an inventory specialist." It was a probe, she knew it. Every word, every glance designed to test. I studied the specifications this past week, she answered evenly. Colonel wanted me prepared. Interesting, he murmured. A civilian contractor in such a specialized program, an unusual choice. Sometimes a fresh perspective has value. He locked eyes with her, searching. For a moment she wondered if he already knew, if he had recognized her despite the years, the scars, the changed face. Indeed, he said finally, I look forward to observing your perspective. He turned to leave, then paused as though remembering something. I understand there was a break-in at your apartment yesterday. Security reported it. The blood in her veins turned to ice. He had ordered it. Just a misunderstanding, she replied calmly. Must have forgotten to lock the door. Be more careful, Stevens said, smiling without warmth. Fort Benning is secure, but one can never be too cautious. When he was gone, she let out the breath she'd been holding. He hadn't said her name. Not yet. But every glance from him felt like a scope finding zero. At 800, her students filed in. 12 of them. Quiet, confident, carrying themselves like men and women who had seen war and come back carrying pieces of it in their eyes. She studied them as they sat. One stood out instantly, Master Sergeant Michael Torres, former Ranger, 35, decorated, skilled, and skeptical. His dark eyes appraised her with the kind of look men reserved for someone they weren't sure belonged in the room. She let the silence stretch. No introduction, no speech, just silence until it pressed heavy. Finally, she said, My name is Morgan. For the next 6 weeks, I'll train you in conditions that will push your marksmanship beyond conventional limits. Torres shifted in his seat. She caught it instantly. You have a question, Master Sergeant. Surprise flickered. He hadn't expected her to spot him, but he recovered quickly. With respect, ma'am, what qualifies a civilian contractor to train special operations personnel? The challenge was sharp, the kind she expected. Respect wouldn't come from words, only proof. She led them outside to the 1,000-meter range, took a Remington MSR from the rack, checked it, dropped prone. Standard sniper qualification is consistent shot groups at 600 meters, she said. Special operations extend to 800. Then she fired 3 shots, rapid, clean. Through their spotting scopes they saw it, a triangle of bullet holes smaller than a playing card, 1,000 meters away. The silence that followed wasn't doubt, it was respect. That, she said, standing, is why I'm here. Any further questions about my qualifications? None came. Even Tor's eyes had changed, skepticism replaced by something quieter, respect mixed with curiosity. As the day unfolded, she assessed them one by one. Strengths, weaknesses, patterns. Sarah, the lone woman, technically perfect but hesitant under pressure. Tor's, natural talent but on instinct. Others, capable but flawed in ways only the battlefield revealed. By afternoon, she knew them all better than they knew themselves. When Torres approached at the end of the session, his tone was different. That 3-shot group, exceptional, even by our standards. She nodded. Sometimes exceptional circumstances require exceptional training. What circumstances are we preparing for exactly? He asked, testing. That information remains classified. Focus on your skills. His eyes lingered, probing deeper. You've seen combat, haven't you? This isn't just theory. Her reply was calm, steady. We all have pasts, Master Sergeant. Some are just classified higher than others. He studied her for a long moment, then gave a small nod as though filing away the answer. When she dismissed the class, Stevens was still there, watching from the back of the range, his expression unreadable. As she passed him, he spoke. Impressive, almost reminiscent of another shooter I once knew, remarkable similarities in technique. Her blood froze, but her face betrayed nothing. The fundamentals of marksmanship are universal, Admiral. Only so many ways to fire a rifle properly. He smiled thinly. Indeed, I look forward to tomorrow's session. That night as she drove home, headlights followed two cars back. A dark SUV, professional tail. Instead of panicking, she ran, looping turns, crowded parking lots, service roads. They stayed with her, smooth, disciplined. Not civilians, military. At a shopping center, she ditched the car, disappeared inside, exited out the back. Caught a taxi under a false name. By the time she paid cash for a hotel room miles away, she knew the truth. She was being hunted. And the question wasn't if they'd make a move. It was when. Why did Tors keep watching her? Even when his eyes were on the target, she could feel it. His awareness tracking her movements, measuring her habits, the way she entered a room, the way she scanned exits unconsciously. He wasn't just learning from her. He was studying her, testing her. By the second week of training, Alex had driven the operators past exhaustion. Mornings belonged to theory. Ballistics tables, wind drift, the effect, atmospheric density. Afternoons belonged to sweat and bruises, firing under artificial rain, hurricane winds from industrial fans, unstable platforms built to mimic the chaos of combat. The operators adapted quickly. Even Tors, once skeptical, now followed her drills without protest. His groups at 1,200 meters tightened with every day. His corrections for shifting winds grew precise. He respected her now, but respect wasn't the same as trust. And Sarah, the youngest, the only woman, was improving too. She had the fundamentals perfect on paper, but she hesitated under eyes. Every time Tors or one of the older operators stood nearby, her trigger pull lagged a heartbeat too long. And in a firefight, a heartbeat could mean death. After one brutal session, Alex dismissed the class but stopped. The younger sniper shifted uneasily, hands tightening on her rifle. "Your ballistic solutions are perfect," Alex said, "but you're second-guessing when it's time to squeeze." "Look down. I know I'll work on it." "It's not about working harder," Alex said softly. "It's about trust, trusting your math, trusting your instincts, trusting that you belong here no matter who's watching." His eyes flickered. "You've been where I am, haven't you? The only woman in the room." Alex paused. The truth pressed against her tongue, but truth was dangerous. She let silence linger, then answered carefully. "In combat, respect isn't about gender. It isn't even about rank. It's about results. Let your shooting speak for you." She handed a rifle. "One more drill, no audience, just you and the target." At the 1,000-meter line, Alex set up a scenario. Multiple targets at staggered distances, wind shifting. Worked through her math, then fired. One by one, the steel plates rang, her shots crisp, confident. When she finished, she lowered the rifle, almost surprised at herself. "That's who you are," Alex said. "Remember that feeling when the others are watching." Nodded, eyes brighter. "Thank you, ma'am." She hesitated, then added quietly, "Tors asks a lot of questions about you. Afghanistan, Pakistan, where you trained. I told him you don't talk much." Alex masked her reaction, but inside, alarms fired. Tors wasn't just skeptical. He was investigating. The next day, General Harrison returned, this time with a man in a dark suit. His handshake was firm, his trigger finger calloused, not just a desk man. "This is Mr. Harrison said. "He'll brief you on aspects of the program." They moved into the secure briefing room. Countermeasures hummed, locking out ears and eyes. "Your training program supports a classified operation," began. He spread photographs across the table. Satellite images. A compound in Kazakhstan, nestled in mountains, bristling with defenses. "Black Eagle Network," he said. "Terrorist organization with state backing. Coordinates attacks across Central Asia." Alex studied the photos, then dropped another image. A man, grainy but unmistakable. Her chest tightened. "Al, the man she had killed in Afghanistan. I eliminated him in 2018, she said flatly. Reports of his death were exaggerated, said. He's alive, and he's planning operations from this compound. Alive, her impossible shot, her record kill, all of it erased by intelligence manipulation or something darker. Your operators deploy in 2 months, continued. They'll eliminate Black Eagle leadership during a gathering, high-altitude terrain, unpredictable winds, long shots beyond 1,500 meters. That's why you're here. Alex's gut twisted. This wasn't training. It was prelude, and it mirrored her own failed mission too closely. Placed one last photo down, shipping containers, military trucks. Black Eagle is more than terrorists. Intelligence suggests weapons transfers, possibly tactical nuclear components. Her blood ran cold. The same kind of operation I saw in Pakistan, the courier handoff, the diplomatic pouch. Frowned, that wasn't in your file. Because someone erased it, Alex said. I transmitted photographs before comms went down. They disappeared. The room went still. Harrison cleared her throat. Your priority is training, leave the rest to us. But Alex saw it now. Too many coincidences. Too many ghosts from her past stitched into the present. Someone was recycling her missions. But to what end? Back at the range, she changed everything. Training became brutal, specific, high-angle shots, shooting downhill from, fans creating chaotic crosswinds. She drilled them until sweat soaked through shirts and tempers flared. Torres noticed. This isn't generic training anymore, he said, wiping sweat. This is mission prep. Focus on technique, Alex replied. Geography is above your pay grade. He didn't press, but his eyes narrowed, filing her evasion away. That night Stevens appeared again, always watching, always probing. Remarkable technique, he said, voice smooth, almost as if himself taught you. Alex's heart jolted. A test, another trap. His methods are in the manuals, she said calmly. Colonel studied under him, passed them along. Stevens smiled thinly. A pity you never met him in person. He was an excellent mentor. He walked away, leaving her blood pounding. He was circling closer, stripping her cover thread by thread. Later, Torres lingered after drills. His skepticism had softened, replaced by something sharper. Curiosity edged with warning. These wind techniques you teach, they're not in any manuals. You've been there, operated in those mountains. Her voice stayed even. Experience comes in many forms, not all of it is in a file. He studied her, gaze heavy. I've seen enough operators to know when someone's walked through fire. You have. That's not inventory training. She let silence stretch, then offered a fragment of truth. Before this, I worked with private military contractors, security assessments, hostile environments. That's why chose me. Torres considered. Finally, he nodded. That explains a lot. His tone shifted, lower, quieter. For what it's worth, Stevens has been asking questions about you, detailed ones. Her eyes locked on his. Why tell me? His expression hardened. Because my brother died on a mission Stevens commanded. They called it an intelligence failure. He called it something else. The truth sharpened. Torres wasn't just suspicious. He was hunting too. Be careful who you trust, Ms. Morgan, he said before walking away. That night called. Fishing cabin, 2 hours, bring nothing traceable. She drove careful routes, shaking any tails, before reaching the cabin deep in the woods. Inside, spread new satellite images across the table. Complications, he said. Stevens has been appointed operational commander for the Kazakhstan mission. He's already requested your full background file. Her pulse thudded. That meant exposure soon. There's more, slid another photo across. A man entering the compound, grainy but familiar. Her stomach dropped. Captain James Walker, her team leader in Pakistan, the man who had confirmed her death. He survived, she whispered. It appears so, and if he confirmed you as KIA, he's part of it. Her mind spun. The betrayal sharpened into a face. Walker alive, Walker working with Black Eagle. Stevens and Walker, she said. They've been running this for years. His jaw tightened. Or Walker is their puppet. Either way, this isn't just terrorists. This is something else. A manufactured enemy, a cover operation. She stared at the maps, her breath cold. Black Eagle wasn't just real. It was engineered, and she was being pulled back into its orbit. Her phone buzzed. A text. One line, your apartment compromised, do not return. R. Her heart stuttered, the signature. But was dead. Or was he? Read the text over her shoulder. His eyes widened. Could he have survived? I don't know, Alex whispered. But if someone's using his name, it's either an ally or another trap. She pocketed the phone, her voice low, steady. Either way, I have to find out. How could his name still appear on her phone? The text glowed like a ghost in her hand. Your apartment compromised. Do not return. Her thumb hovered above the screen, her chest pounding. But was gone. She had seen the wreckage. She had mourned him in silence when no one else even admitted he existed. His voice was low. We need to be careful. If it's him, he's been hiding for 2 years. If it's not, someone wants you rattled. Her breathing steadied. She had been rattled before. She had been ambushed before. The difference was in how you responded. I'm meeting him, she said. Shook his head, too dangerous. I need to know, Alex said, her voice steel. If it's him, he's the only one who can confirm what really happened in Pakistan. If it's not, then we'll know who's baiting us. The meeting point was a freight yard outside Columbus, Georgia. Midnight. Floodlights hummed over silent trains, shadows pooling between rusted cars. She arrived with both armed but casual, blending into the emptiness. For long minutes, nothing, just the hiss of distant air brakes and the hum of power lines. Then a figure stepped from the shadows, broad-shouldered, beard flecked with gray, a limp in his left leg. Alex froze, her throat closed. It was him. James. Her mentor, her anchor, her family alive. Hello, cold flame, he said softly. Her pistol sagged at her side. Her eyes burned, though no tears fell. She wanted to rush him, to grip his shoulders, to demand why. But training forced her stillness. Trust nothing. Believe nothing until it proved itself. You died, she said. They said I did, he answered. Same as they said about you. His gun stayed steady. Prove it's really you. Didn't flinch. Fort 2013 training rotation. Cold flame missed her first wind call. Shot left 2 inches. I told her the math was right. She didn't believe me, so I bet her a week of mess hall KP duty. Alex's lips parted. No one else could know that. No one alive. Her gun lowered, her voice cracked. It's you. He stepped closer, his limp heavier in the floodlight. His eyes softened. You think I'd let them bury you alone? They moved into the shadows of a train car, words spilling in fragments, the way survivors talk when time is short. The Pakistan mission wasn't an ambush, said. It was a handoff, a case exchange, state-backed. Our job wasn't to stop it. Our job was to disappear when it happened. Alex's chest tightened. Disappear. They set us up, said. Walker knew. He coordinated the comms cut. Then they tried to erase us in the crash. Walker's alive, said. His jaw hardened. Of course he is. He's with them. He signed the KIA confirmations, didn't he? He made sure the world thought we were dead. Why hide? Alex demanded. His eyes burned. Because I tried to surface once, reached out to a contact in Langley. 2 days later, my house burned to the ground. My family barely made it out. After that, I went underground. Her stomach twisted. The man who had taught her every shot, every calculation, had been living like a ghost. What about the courier? Alex asked. The black case. His voice dropped. Miniaturized nuclear triggers, prototype designs, too advanced for a terror network to acquire on their own. Someone wanted those in play, someone powerful enough to use us as cover. The freight yard seemed to tilt. Nuclear components, manufactured terror, betrayal at the highest levels. And now pressed. Looked directly at Alex. Now they're moving again. Kazakhstan, the same playbook. Black Eagle isn't a terror group. It's a tool for men like Stevens and Walker. They're building a phantom enemy so they can move weapons in the shadows. Her voice came out raw. And we're training the shooters who'll be sent into that trap. Nodded grimly. Exactly. They want this mission to fail, to justify escalation, to cover their tracks with more bodies. Alex felt sick. Her students, still finding her courage. Tors sharp enough to sense the lie, all pawns in someone else's war. She looked at, her voice breaking. Why didn't you reach for me sooner? His face hardened with regret. Because I didn't know you were alive until last week. I intercepted comms chatter, Stevens flagging your name. I thought it was a trick, but then I saw you on a range feed. She stepped closer, the anger finally cutting through. Do you know what it's like to mourn you? To carry your voice in my head every day just to keep breathing? You were my family. His eyes glistened. And you were mine. I'm sorry, cold flame. I thought I was protecting you by staying away. Turns out I only left you alone. For a moment, silence. Two ghosts standing in the shadow of steel, bound by scars no one else could see. Broke it. If we're going to stop this, we need proof. Files. Names. Something solid enough to burn Stevens and Walker where they stand. Snod was grim. There's a server, compartmentalized, buried deep in the Pentagon's black archive. I couldn't reach it alone, but with the right access. His eyes shifted to Alex. You're closer to Stevens than I'll ever be. Her pulse thudded, the hunter becoming bait again. Then we go in, she said. The next days blurred between drills and secrecy. Alex kept training her operators, her voice calm, her posture perfect. But inside, her mind burned with revelations. Hit her targets with new confidence. Tors kept probing her with quiet suspicion. Stevens circled closer, his eyes lingering too long, his questions cutting too sharp. And every night, Alex planned within shadow. Codes, routes, how to breach a server protected by the same men who had buried them. But trust came slow, questioned survival. Alex's heart wavered between relief and rage. She had him back, but nothing erased the years stolen. One night, as they pored over schematics in his cabin, caught her stare. What? He asked. Her voice was low, bitter. I don't know if I'm supposed to thank you for being alive, or hate you for leaving me to think you were gone. His jaw tightened. I did what I thought I had to do to keep you safe. Her voice cracked. You didn't keep me safe. You left me counting magazines in a depot, dead on paper, alive in silence. That wasn't safety, that was suffocation. The words hung heavy, himself with maps, leaving the silence between them untouched. Finally spoke, his voice raw. You're right, I failed you, but I'm here now, and I won't leave again, not until this is finished. She turned away, fighting the ache in her chest. Trust wasn't a switch, it was a scar, and scars took time. At the range, Tors pushed harder. Ma'am, he said during a break, I know you're not just some contractor. The way you shoot, the way you lead, you're hiding something. And if Stevens knows, he'll burn you for it. Her eyes locked on his. Why do you care? Because I've seen Stevens sacrifice men for politics, Tors said quietly. And I won't let him do it again. Not with this team. For a moment, she saw herself reflected in him. A soldier unwilling to be another pawn. Trust your instincts, she said, and be ready, nothing is what it seems. That night her phone buzzed again. Another message, server breach possible, 48 hours. She stared at it, her pulse heavy. The choice was clear. In 2 days, Cold Flame would step back into the fire. But this time she wouldn't be alone. Why was the Pentagon corridor so quiet? Alex's boots echoed against marble, each step measured, too loud in the silence of the midnight shift. She wore a visitor's badge, her hair tied tight, civilian clothes pressed. On paper, she was here as an instructor consultant, authorized by Stevens himself to review training reports. But the papers were cover. The real mission lived in the device tucked in her jacket, Drive, designed to ghost through firewalls if they could reach the right server. Walked beside her, his uniform a shield, his authority opening doors without question. Was elsewhere, feeding them updates through an encrypted earpiece. His voice was a low rumble in her ear. Camera sweep every 20 seconds. Two-man patrol on the next junction. Move when I say. Alex adjusted her pace, heartbeat steady. She'd done this before, though never in the belly of her own country's war machine. At the security desk, leaned in, his voice clipped with authority. General Harrison authorized this audit. Classified compartment, level 6. The guard, young and tired, scanned his orders, frowned, then waved them through. Bureaucracy was both enemy and ally. Tonight it bent in their favor. Inside, sterile corridors stretched, doors sealed with biometric locks. Alex's hand brushed against the cool wall, grounding herself. She thought of words. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about stopping what they're building. They reached the archive room. The lock glowed red, waiting for an authorized handprint, pressed his palm against it. The scanner blinked, processed, then opened with a soft hiss. Alex exhaled slowly. Too easy. That was the danger. Inside, the server room was a cathedral of silence. Racks of blinking machines lined the walls, their hums filling the air with a strange, electric heartbeat. Left row, fourth server from the back, his voice said. That's the one tied to the compartmentalized channel. Alex moved quickly, covering the door. She knelt, slipping the drive into the port. The screen filled with cascading lines of code, ghost crawling through the system. 15 seconds, muttered. The numbers rolled. Alex's hands clenched at her sides. 15 seconds felt like 15 years. Then the code froze. Error, a red warning blinked. Access swore in her ear. They've doubled encryption. I need another pathway. Cold flame, pull the auxiliary cable from the second rack top shelf. She reached up, snapped the cable free, jammed it into the drive. The warning vanished. The code surged forward again. Got it, said. Downloading, hold position. The door clicked, stiffened, voices outside. Alex's hand slid to her. Every instinct screamed. Two men entered, guards. Their eyes narrowed at the unauthorized sight. One opened his mouth. Alex moved first, her pistol pressing hard against his ribs, silencing him with the promise of violence. Blocked the second with a firm, commanding voice. Top-level audit, classified, leave. But the guard didn't buy it. His hand hovered near his weapon. 10 more seconds, whispered. Alex's breath slowed. She held the guard's gaze, her voice soft but lethal. Don't. The man froze, sweat sliding down his temple. The second hesitated, then pulled his partner back. The door closed again, heavy silence returning. Transfer complete, said finally. Get out now. Alex yanked the drive free, slipped it into her pocket. They moved fast, retracing steps, every second heavier than the last. By the time they cleared the outer security gate, her chest eased. But relief was a fragile thing. Because as they walked into the parking lot, a figure leaned against a black sedan, arms folded. Admiral Stevens. His smile was slow, deliberate. Late-night audit colonel with civilian company. His voice stayed even. General Harrison requested a review, standard procedure. Stevens' eyes flicked to Alex. And you're the reviewer, curious choice. Alex met his gaze without flinching. Some of us don't sleep well. The Admiral's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. Indeed, I'll be very interested to hear General Harrison's report on your findings. He stepped aside, letting them pass. Too easy, too dangerous. Back in his vehicle, Alex's hand trembled as she held the drive. He knew, she whispered. Not everything, said, but enough. The next day, training resumed as though nothing had happened. Alex drilled her team through punishing wind simulations, excelled, finally pulling the trigger without hesitation. Tors watched her more intently than ever. During a break he approached. "You were gone last night." She didn't answer. "I checked," Tors pressed. "Security logs you entered the Pentagon with." Her stomach tightened. "You've been following me." "I don't like secrets that risk this team," Tors said. His voice was low, not hostile but firm. "Tell me the truth. Who are you?" Alex weighed her options. Full truth was impossible. Lies would shatter the fragile trust she'd built. "Once I was a soldier," she said quietly. "Then I was erased. What I teach you now, it's survival, nothing more, nothing less." Tors studied her for a long moment, then he nodded. "That's enough for me, for now." But his eyes said more. He wouldn't stop digging. That night, Alex gathered in the cabin. The drive sat on the table, its data scrolling across a secure laptop. Files, communications logs, financial trails. And then the photographs. The ones Alex had taken in Pakistan. Clear, sharp. A courier handing a black case to a man in American tactical gear. She leaned closer, breath catching. The man's face was visible now. Shadows stripped away by enhancement software. Walker. Her old captain, alive, smiling as he accepted the case. Her voice was ice, proof. His jaw clenched, and motive. He clicked another file, bank accounts, offshore transfers, millions flowing through shell corporations, names attached. Admiral Stevens. General Blackwood. Deputy Director. Alex felt sick. This isn't just betrayal, it's a machine. They've been funding Black Eagle for years. His voice was grim. Weapons contracts, escalation, manufactured threats. Every shot you took, every mission you ran, they used you to build their war. Her hand tightened on the table. Rage burned through her chest. She had killed for her country, believing in the mission, the cause. And all the while, men in suits had twisted her skill into profit. His voice broke through her storm. "We have enough to burn them, but the moment we move, they'll come for us. Hard." Her eyes met his. "Then we strike first." The following day, Stevens arrived at the range again. His expression was calm, but his eyes were knives. "Excellent progress," he said to the team. "Your instructor has a remarkable talent, almost uncanny, almost familiar." He lingered on Alex. "I'd like to observe her methods more closely tonight, a private session." Tors stiffened, but Alex forced a calm nod. "Of course, Admiral." Stevens smiled. "Good, 2,000 hours, I'll see you then." When he walked away, Tors whispered, "Don't go. He's circling you like prey." Her voice was steady. "Sometimes the only way to hunt a predator is to let him think he's hunting you." That night under floodlights, she laid out rifles for the Admiral. He watched her assemble, his questions sharp, probing, each one designed to strip her. "You calculate wind like," he said. "You handle a rifle like cold flame, almost as if you were her." Her pulse slowed. She met his eyes. Rumors, legends. Soldiers invent stories to make war survivable. Stevens leaned closer. His breath carried the faint smell of whiskey. "I don't believe in legends. I believe in assets. And assets either serve or they're eliminated." He smiled. "Which are you, Ms. Morgan?" Her heart hammered. She held his gaze unblinking. "That depends, Admiral. Which one are you?" The silence stretched. Then he chuckled, stepping back. "Clever, very clever." But his smile was thin, predatory. He wasn't fooled. And she knew then. Stevens had marked her. Why did dawn feel heavier than night? The pine trees around the training compound stood like silent sentries, their shadows long across the dirt as the operators filed in. Alex's chest carried a weight she couldn't shake. The file on Walker, the proof against Stevens, the trap she knew was tightening. She drilled them hard that morning. Crosswind shots from moving vehicles, rapid distance transitions. No mercy, no breaks. Sweat slicked their hands, frustration flared, but none of them complained. They trusted her now. Even Tors, though his trust was sharpened with caution. During a water break approached. Her voice was low, tentative. "Ma'am, is it true? Are we going to Kazakhstan?" Alex froze. The information was compartmentalized. Hal had heard. "Who told you that?" Alex asked softly. Glanced away. "Overheard Stevens yesterday. He was talking to someone on the phone, said we'd be deployed to the mountains. Said Cold Flame's training would prepare us." The name hit like a rifle shot. Stevens had said it aloud. Cold Flame, her buried name. Alex steadied her voice. "Listen to me. Whatever you hear, focus on your training. Block the rest out." But inside, her blood ran cold. Stevens wasn't hiding anymore. He was baiting her. That night Alex met again in the cabin. The files from the drive lay scattered, photographs, bank accounts, comm logs, all the proof they needed. But proof wasn't enough. Proof didn't survive unless you lived long enough to deliver it. "They're accelerating the timeline," said. "The team deploys in 3 weeks. Stevens wants it fast before anyone can question. And when they land," added, "they'll walk into another Pakistan. Ambush, erasure, history repeating." Alex's fists clenched. "Not this time." His eyes softened. "Cold Flame, we can walk away, take the drive, vanish, drop it to the right hands quietly." Her voice cut sharp. "And leave them," she thought of, still fighting hesitation. Tors, sharp enough to see through lies, the others who had put trust in her drills, her words. "I won't be the ghost who saves herself while they die. Not again." Leaned forward. "Then we turn the trap back on them. We let Stevens think he's won, and when he moves, we burn him." Silence fell, heavy, dangerous, but it was the only path. The following days felt like a countdown. Alex taught with precision, but her mind raced ahead. Every drill, every correction, was no longer just training. It was preparation for survival in a mission designed for death. Tors noticed. Of course he did. During a late session, he approached quietly. His words were blunt. "You're not telling us everything. You know this mission's wrong." She studied him, then gave him what she could. "You've seen Stevens. You've seen the way he operates. If you follow him blindly, you'll end up like your brother." His jaw tightened. "Then what do you want me to do?" "Trust me," she said softly. "Even if the orders say otherwise, when the time comes, you'll know." Tors searched her face, then nodded once. "If you're lying to me, we're all dead." Her voice didn't waver. "If I were lying, you'd already be dead." On the 5th night, Stevens made his move. Alex returned to her temporary quarters after a brutal day. The door was ajar. Not broken, just left waiting. Her cleared the corner fast. Inside, a single envelope sat on the table. No device this time, just paper. She opened it with steady hands. A photograph slipped out. Her at the range, rifle in hand. Her face half in shadow but unmistakable. Beneath it, a single line typed in black ink. "You can only hide so long, Cold Flame." Her chest tightened. No pretense now. He was calling her out. The phone rang, a secure line. "Alex," he said, his voice clipped. "Stevens just ordered me off the program, effective immediately." Her stomach dropped. "He's isolating me." "Exactly. You're the target now. Whatever happens next, he doesn't want me near you." Cut in on the encrypted channel. "Then it's coming. He's going to move against you before deployment. Tonight, maybe tomorrow. You can't stay in that compound." Alex looked at the photo again, her hands steady though her pulse thundered. "No. If I run, he wins. If I stay, I draw him out." The next morning, Stevens arrived unannounced again. He stood before the team as if he owned them, his voice smooth, his presence commanding. "Ladies, and you've done well," he said. "In 3 weeks, you'll face conditions harsher than anything you've trained for, but you'll have the edge, thanks to your instructor." His eyes cut to Alex, a predator savoring the moment. "I'd like to demonstrate a final test today," he continued. "Instructor Morgan will pair with Master Sergeant Tors, head-to-head. Wind calls at 1,500 meters." Alex's blood chilled. This wasn't a test, it was theater, a stage for her exposure. Tors glanced at her, suspicion flickering, but he followed orders. They set up on the firing line side by side. Stephen stood behind them, hands clasped, smiling thin. "Target set, begin." Tors calculated fast, fired. His shot hit just outside the ring. Alex steadied her rifle. The wind shifted. She adjusted half a mil, exhaled, squeezed. Her shot rang steel dead center. Murmurs rippled through the team. Evan's eyes widened. "Again," Stephen said smoothly. Another distance, another wind shift. Tors fired close but wide. Alex fired dead center. 3 times, 3 perfect shots. Silence hung heavy when they finished. Stephen's smile was razor-thin. Impressive, almost too impressive. His voice dropped just enough for her to hear. "Only one woman I ever knew could shoot like that, and she's supposed to be dead." Her heart slowed. She kept her face neutral. "Maybe your memory's failing, Admiral." But his eyes gleamed with triumph. He had her. That night's message came urgent. "Meet now, compromised." Stevens moved faster than expected. She drove dark roads, headlights cutting pine shadows. Her mind was a storm. If was compromised, everything was unraveling. At the rendezvous was waiting. His limp looked heavier, his face drawn. "They got to," he said. "He's alive but sidelined. They're isolating us piece by piece. You're next." Her jaw clenched. "Then we hit back first." Handed her a drive. "Backup of the files. If I go down, you run. Deliver this." She stared at it, her voice raw. "I'm not running." "Cold flame," he said, gripping her shoulder, eyes fierce. "You can't fight them head-on. You'll lose." Her reply was steel. "I'd rather lose fighting than disappear again." Back at the compound, she found Tors waiting outside her quarters. "You need to tell me now," he said. "Who you are, what Stevens is planning. I can't protect this team blind." The decision was a blade in her chest. She had kept her truth buried, hidden in silence, but silence was killing them now. She looked into his eyes. "My name is Morgan, call sign Cold Flame. Pakistan was my last mission. Stevens betrayed us. He buried me, and now he's setting you up for the same." Tors froze, the weight of it crashed down, then he nodded once. No denial, no disbelief, just grim acceptance. "Then we stop him," he said. And for the first time, Alex felt the shift. She wasn't alone. But dawn brought the sound of rotors. Helicopters cutting across the sky, dust spiraling across the compound. Stevens stepping out, flanked by men in dark gear. Not observation this time. Occupation. The noose was tightening. The final move was here. Why did the helicopters feel like vultures? Their rotors tore the dawn sky, a brutal thrum shaking windows, scattering gravel across the compound yard. The operators gathered instinctively, their eyes wary. Alex stood among them, posture rigid, heartbeat steady even as the noose tightened. Stevens stepped from the lead chopper, dark suit, aviators, flanked by a squad in black tactical gear, unmarked but unmistakably military. His smile was calm, predatory. "Good morning, ladies and," he said smoothly. "Training has concluded. You are now under direct operational command, effective immediately." His gaze locked on Alex. "Instructor Morgan, you'll join me in debrief." Every instinct screamed, but she walked forward, controlled, unflinching. To refuse now would mean open conflict, and too many of her students would die in crossfire. Stevens led her inside the hangar. His men sealed the doors behind them. The hum of rotors faded, leaving only silence. He circled her like a hunter. "Cold Flame," he said softly, savoring the name. "I knew it was you. The moment you pulled that trigger, ghosts can't hide forever." Her eyes stayed steady. "Then why not kill me already?" His smile sharpened. Because dead snipers are martyrs, but obedient ones are tools. You'll lead this team into Kazakhstan. You'll carry out the mission exactly as planned. And when the ambush comes, you'll be the perfect scapegoat. Her voice was quiet, cutting, just like Pakistan. His smile didn't fade. Exactly. He leaned close. You survived once, you won't again. The hangar door creaked. Another figure entered. For a heartbeat, Alex thought her chest might cave in. Captain James Walker, alive, older, harder, but the same smirk curling at his mouth. "Miss me, Sergeant," he drawled. Her hands twitched for her, but Stevens' men closed in instantly. Walker laughed, still quick but not quick enough. She stared at him, fury cutting through her calm. "You confirmed me dead. You signed my erasure." Walker shrugged. "Paperwork's just another battlefield. Stevens made an offer. Survival, wealth, power. I took it." Her voice broke with disgust. "You sold your own team." "They were already dead," Walker said coldly. "Why waste the opportunity?" Her fists clenched, but she forced stillness. Fury was fuel, but precision was the weapon. That night, and Torres moved in the shadows. Had slipped through the compound perimeter, limping but relentless, determination burning in his eyes. Torres intercepted him before the outer fence. "You're him," Torres whispered. "The mentor, the one she talks about." Nodded once, "And you're the one she's pinned her hopes on." Torres' jaw tightened. "Stevens is moving her tonight, taking her off base." "Then we don't let that happen," said. He handed Torres a suppressed rifle. "You trust her." "With my life," Torres answered. "Then trust me," he said. Inside the hangar, Stevens outlined the mission. Maps spread across the table, red circles over Kazakhstan's mountains, Black Eagle's compound. "You'll lead them in cold flame," he said, voice smooth. "And when the time comes, you'll fall just like before." Her jaw tightened, and the operators Torres the rest. He smiled, collateral. Something broke inside her, not loudly, not visibly, but a steel fracture, sharp and permanent. "You underestimate them," she said quietly. "Do I?" Stevens leaned close. "Or do I simply know that loyalty bends when the right orders are given?" His words hung as footsteps echoed outside. The hangar door burst open. Torres strode in, rifle slung. Behind him, alive, breathing hard, eyes locked on Walker. Stevens' smile faltered. "Well, ghosts everywhere tonight." His men raised rifles. Torres swung his weapon up, eyes burning. "Stand down now." For a moment, silence, the kind that decides who lives. Then Walker laughed. "You won't shoot, Sergeant. You're too disciplined, too by the book." Torres' voice was steady. "Books don't bury good men. You did." Chaos exploded. Torres' shot dropped one of Stevens' guards before the man could fire. Alex moved instantly, seizing her moment. She twisted, disarmed another, snapped his elbow, turned his own rifle against him. Opened fire, precise even with his limp. Years hadn't dulled him. His rounds cracked like punctuation marks, ending lives with brutal clarity. Stevens ducked behind a steel column, barking orders. Walker drew his sidearm, eyes locked on Alex. "Should stay dead," he shouted. Their shots rang in near unison. His grazed her arm, hers tore through his chest. Walker staggered, shock flashing across his face. "You," he gasped, then crumpled dead. The past fell with him. Stevens fled deeper into the hangar, firing as he ran. Bullets tore sparks from metal, ricocheted into shadows. Alex pursued, every step fueled by rage and purpose. She cornered him near the stairwell. His pistol empty, his breath ragged, but his smile remained. "You think killing me changes anything?" he spat. "There's always another Stevens, another Walker. The machine doesn't stop for ghosts." Her voice was quiet, steady as a rifle scope. "Maybe not, but it stops for you." She pulled the trigger, one clean shot. His body fell heavy against steel. The hangar went silent. Torres and emerged from the smoke. and the others, drawn by gunfire, followed, eyes wide, rifles raised, confusion written across their faces. Torres spoke first. "Stand down, it's over. Stevens was the traitor, Walker too, we have proof." His gaze locked on Alex. "Cold flame," she whispered. The name rippled through them, recognition dawning, the ghost in front of them. Alex stood steady, blood on her arm, rifle still smoking. She didn't deny it. "Yes," she said simply. For a long moment, silence, then Torres nodded. "She's the reason we're alive. You follow her or you die." One by one, the operators lowered their weapons, loyalty shifting, not to Stevens, to her. 2 days later, in a secure room away from Fort Benning, spread the files across a polished table. Generals sat on one side, intelligence officials on the other. The evidence was undeniable: financial trails, photographs, comm logs. Stevens and Walker were dead, their network exposed. Leaned against the wall, pale but alive, Torres stood beside Alex, silent but steady. A general finally spoke. "You'll never get public credit, too much exposure, too much embarrassment, but the operation is shut down, their machine is broken." Alex's gaze didn't waver. "I don't care about credit, I care about the dead finally resting." His voice was rough, and about the living finally breathing free. The meeting ended. The officials filed out, leaving silence behind. Later, outside beneath a quiet night sky, Alex stood alone. Torres approached, his footsteps soft. "You could walked away," he said, "but you didn't." She looked at the stars. "I did once, and it killed me inside, not again." Torres studied her, then nodded. "The team with you, wherever you go." She met his eyes, and for the first time in years allowed a small, weary smile. At the cabin, waited. His limp was heavier, his body, but his eyes carried the same fire. "You finally burned them," he said. "We burned them," she corrected. He hesitated, then added softly, "I meant what I said. I won't leave you again." Her gaze lingered on him. Old pain, old trust, broken pieces trying to fit again. "We'll see," she said quietly. For now, it was enough. When she returned to the range, was there early, already setting up. The young sniper looked up, nervous but determined. "Ma'am, will you still teach us?" Alex paused, then nodded. "Until you no longer need me." His eyes lit, steadying. "Then I'll make sure you don't regret it." Alex adjusted her scope, the mountains of Kazakhstan already alive in her mind. The battles weren't over, but neither was she. Sometimes dignity doesn't speak. It simply acts. And sometimes the ghosts who were erased find a way back, not for themselves, but for those who still believe in something worth fighting for. Cold Flame was alive. And this time she wasn't hiding.